Have you ever wondered how one simple mistake could completely change your life? Sometimes, the universe has a way of placing us exactly where we need to be, even when we think we're lost. This is the story of Maya Rodriguez, a 26-year-old delivery driver in Miami, Florida, who knocked on the wrong door on a rainy Thursday evening in November, and nothing was ever the same again. Before we dive into this incredible story, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? We love hearing from our community around the world, and if you enjoy stories about unexpected encounters and life-changing moments, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our next story. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Now let's begin. The rain hammered against the windshield of Maya's beat-up Honda Civic as she squinted at the address on her phone. Brickell Avenue, apartment 2847. The numbers glowed on her screen, but the rain made everything outside a blur of lights and shadows. She was already running late. This was her 8th delivery of the night, and her shift should have ended an hour ago. But with rent due in 3 days and her bank account showing a balance that made her stomach turn, she couldn't afford to turn down any orders. Maya grabbed the paper bag containing what smelled like Indian food and dashed toward the gleaming high-rise. Her worn sneakers splashed through puddles as she pushed through the lobby doors, dripping water onto the polished marble floor. The doorman looked up from his desk, his expression a mixture of concern and mild annoyance at the trail of water she was leaving. "Delivery for apartment 2847, she said breathlessly, pushing wet strands of dark hair from her face. The doorman nodded toward the elevators without a word. Maya had been to this building before. It was one of those luxury towers where each apartment probably cost more than she'd earn in a decade. The elevator ride up felt like ascending into a different world, one where people didn't worry about which bill to pay first or whether their car would start in the morning. When she reached the 28th floor, Maya stepped into a hallway that smelled faintly of expensive perfume and fresh flowers. She walked down the corridor, counting door numbers, 2843, 2845. She stopped at what she thought was 2847, but the brass numbers were slightly tarnished, making them hard to read in the dim hallway lighting. She knocked 3 times and waited, shifting her weight from foot to foot. Water dripped from her jacket onto the plush carpet. After a moment, she heard footsteps approaching from inside. The door opened, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. The man standing before her was not what she expected. He was tall, probably in his early 40s, with olive skin, dark hair touched with silver at the temples, and the kind of presence that commanded attention without effort. He wore an expensive-looking navy cashmere sweater and dark slacks. His eyes, deep brown, almost black, looked at her with surprise, then confusion. I have your delivery," Maya stammered, holding up the bag. "Indian food? Chicken tikka masala and—" "I didn't order anything," the man said. His voice was accented. Arabic, she thought, and surprisingly gentle despite his imposing presence. Maya's heart sank. She looked at her phone again, then at the door number. Her stomach dropped. 2847. But as she looked closer at the numbers on the door in front of her, she realized her mistake. This was 2841. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," she said quickly, embarrassment flooding through her. "I got the wrong apartment." "I'm sorry for bothering you, She turned to leave, but her wet sneaker caught on the edge of the doormat. Maya felt herself falling forward, and in a panic, she tried to catch herself. The bag of food went flying. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion, the containers bursting open, rice and curry sauce arcing through the air, landing partly on the carpet, partly on the man's expensive sweater, and mostly on her own soaked clothes. Maya hit the floor hard, her hands and knees taking the impact. For a moment, there was only silence except for the sound of curry sauce dripping onto the pristine hallway carpet. "I am so sorry," Maya whispered, fighting back tears of humiliation. This was it. She'd definitely lose this job now. Maybe she'd even have to pay for the damage to the building's carpet and this man's clothes. Money she absolutely didn't have. But then something unexpected happened. The man started to laugh. Not a mocking laugh, but genuine, warm laughter that transformed his stern features completely. He stepped forward and extended his hand to help her up. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his dark eyes now filled with concern and amusement. "Only my dignity," Maya managed, accepting his hand. His grip was firm and warm as he pulled her to her feet. "And your carpet, and your sweater. I'm so sorry. I'll pay for the cleaning." It's just a sweater," he said, waving off her concern. He looked at the mess in the hallway, then back at her shivering, curry-stained form. "But you cannot leave like this. Come inside, please." Maya hesitated. Every self-preservation instinct told her not to enter a stranger's apartment, but she was soaking wet, covered in food, and this man's kind eyes held no threat, only genuine concern. "I don't want to intrude," she said. "I need to find the right apartment and deliver this. Well, I need to get another order made and—" "You're shivering," he interrupted gently. "At least come in and dry off. I'll help you clean up. Then you can find the correct apartment." Against her better judgment, Maya nodded and followed him inside. The apartment took her breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a stunning view of Miami's skyline, now glittering in the rain. The space was elegantly furnished with a mixture of modern and Middle Eastern touches, intricate rugs, brass fixtures, contemporary art on the walls. Everything spoke of refined taste and considerable wealth. "Wait here," the man said, disappearing down a hallway. He returned moments later with a plush towel and what looked like an expensive bathrobe. "The bathroom is just there. Please, clean up. I'll make some tea." "I really shouldn't," Maya protested weakly. "I have to work, and I've already caused enough trouble." "How much would you have made from that delivery?" he asked. Maybe $7, plus tip if I was lucky." He pulled out his wallet and handed her a $100 bill. "Consider this your payment for the evening's entertainment. Now please, go dry off before you catch pneumonia." Maya stared at the money in shock. $100. That was more than she usually made in an entire shift. Her eyes welled up with tears, not from embarrassment this time, but from the overwhelming kindness of this stranger. "I can't accept this," she whispered. "You already have," he said with a small smile. "Now go. The bathroom is that door." 20 minutes later, Maya emerged wearing the soft bathrobe, her wet clothes in a plastic bag. The man had changed into a fresh shirt and was pouring tea from an ornate silver pot into delicate glasses. "I'm Khalil Mansour," he said, gesturing for her to sit on one of the cream-colored couches. "And you are?" "Maya Rodriguez," she said, perching nervously on the edge of the couch. "Mr. Mansour, I really appreciate your kindness, but I should go. I've taken up enough of your time." "You've taken up nothing," Khalil said, sitting across from her and sliding a glass of tea toward her. "And please, call me Khalil." "Tell me, Maya Rodriguez, do you always work this late in the rain?" Maya wrapped her hands around the warm glass, the mint tea's aroma soothing. "I work whenever I can get the hours. I'm saving up for nursing school." "Nursing school," Khalil repeated, his expression thoughtful. "A noble profession. How long have you been doing deliveries?" "Almost 2 years now," Maya admitted. "I work 3 jobs, actually. This, waitressing in the morning, and weekend shifts at a grocery store. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills, mostly." Khalil studied her with an intensity that made her self-conscious. "You remind me of someone," he said quietly. "Someone I knew a long time ago." Before Maya could respond, Khalil's phone rang. He glanced at it, frowned, and answered in rapid Arabic. Even though Maya couldn't understand the words, she could hear the tension in his voice. The conversation grew heated, and Khalil's expression darkened. Finally, he ended the call and sat back, rubbing his temples. "Problems?" Maya asked tentatively. Khalil looked at her for a long moment, as if deciding something. "Maya, I'm going to tell you something, and I'd appreciate your discretion." "Of course," she said, confused but curious. "That was my business partner. We're in the middle of a very important deal, a real estate development project worth millions. But there's been a complication. Someone is spreading rumors about me saying I'm not trustworthy, that I've failed to honor contracts in the past. It's all lies, but in business, perception is often more powerful than truth." "I'm sorry," Maya said sincerely. "That sounds terrible. What makes it worse is that the person spreading these rumors is someone I trusted completely, someone I considered a friend." Khalil's jaw tightened. "I have a meeting tomorrow with potential investors from Dubai. If I can't convince them that these rumors are false, I'll lose everything I've spent 3 years building." Maya didn't know what to say. This was so far outside her world of late rent payments and deciding between groceries and gas money. But she could see the genuine pain in Khalil's eyes, the pain of betrayal, of seeing your dreams threatened through no fault of your own. "You'll convince them," Maya said with conviction she didn't quite feel. "If you're honest and passionate about your work, people will see the truth." Khalil smiled sadly. "I wish it were that simple. In my world, truth is whatever the loudest voice says it is." They talked for another hour. Khalil asked about her life, her dreams of becoming a nurse, her family. Maya found herself opening up in a way she rarely did with anyone. She told him about her mother who cleaned houses to support them after her father left, about her younger brother who was in community college, about how she felt like she was running in place, exhausting herself but never moving forward. In turn, Khalil shared pieces of his own story. He'd come to America 20 years ago from Jordan with almost nothing, worked construction jobs while learning English at night, eventually started his own small contracting business. Success came slowly, then all at once. Now he developed luxury properties, moved in circles of extreme wealth, but sometimes felt more isolated than when he had nothing. "You know what the irony is," Khalil said, refilling their tea glasses. "I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes, but I can't remember the last time I had a genuine conversation like this. Most people want something from me. But you just knocked on the wrong door," Maya laughed, "and destroyed your carpet and your sweater in the process. Best mistake you ever made," Khalil said with a grin. It was past midnight when Maya finally insisted she had to leave. Khalil called a car service for her, refusing to let her take public transit home so late. As they waited for the car in the lobby, he pulled out a business card. "Maya, I want you to have this," he said. "If you ever need anything, a reference for school, help with an application, anything, please call me." Maya took the card, noting the embossed letters. Khalil Mansour, CEO, Mansour Development Group. "Thank you, Khalil, for everything. You've been incredibly kind. Promise me you'll call if you need help," he insisted. "I promise," Maya said, though she had no intention of bothering this successful man with her problems. The car arrived and Maya rode home in a daze, still wearing her curry-stained clothes in a plastic bag, the $100 bill safely tucked in her pocket. The whole evening felt surreal, like something from a movie rather than her ordinary life. The next morning, Maya woke to her alarm after only 4 hours of sleep. She had to be at the restaurant by 6 for the breakfast shift. As she poured coffee from the ancient pot in her tiny kitchen, she thought about Khalil and wondered if his meeting had gone well. She said a small prayer for him, not because she was particularly religious, but because he'd shown her such unexpected kindness. Her shift at the restaurant was grueling. A large convention was in town, and the place was packed from the moment they opened. Maya's feet ached, her back hurt, and she'd barely had time to eat anything, but she smiled through it all, knowing that every tip brought her slightly closer to her goal. During her break, she checked her phone and saw a missed call from an unknown number. There was a voicemail. Curious, she listened to it. "Maya, this is Khalil Mansour. I hope you don't mind me calling. I got your number from the delivery app. Something happened this morning, and I need to speak with you urgently. Please call me back as soon as you can. It's very important." Maya's heart raced. She immediately called back, anxiety churning in her stomach. Had something bad happened? Was he in trouble? Khalil answered on the first ring. "Maya, thank you for calling back. Are you working right now?" "I'm on break. Is everything okay?" "More than okay," Khalil said, and she could hear the excitement in his voice. "Maya, something extraordinary happened this morning. Can you meet me at my office? I'll send a car for you." I'm working until 2, Maya said, confused and curious. "I'll send the car at 2:15. Please, Maya, I need to see you." After her shift, Maya changed out of her waitress uniform in the restaurant bathroom, anxiety and curiosity warring inside her. What could possibly be so urgent? Had she left something in his apartment? Had she somehow caused more damage than she thought? The car that picked her up was a sleek black Mercedes with leather seats that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The driver was polite and professional, and 30 minutes later they pulled up in front of a gleaming glass tower in downtown Miami. Khalil's office was on the 42nd floor. His assistant, a polished woman in her 50s, greeted Maya warmly and led her to a corner office with views that made the ones from Khalil's apartment seem modest in comparison. Khalil stood when she entered, and his face broke into the warmest smile she'd seen yet. "Maya, thank you for coming," he said, gesturing to a chair. "I have something incredible to tell you." Maya sat, her hands folded nervously in her lap. "You're kind of freaking me out, Khalil." He laughed and sat behind his desk. "Remember I told you about the meeting with the Dubai investors this morning? The one I was so worried about? Of course, it went perfectly. Better than perfectly. Not only did they agree to fund the project, but they're investing double what I originally asked for. Maya, this is the biggest deal of my entire career." "That's amazing," Maya said sincerely. "I'm so happy for you, but I don't understand. Why did you need to tell me this?" Khalil leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Because of what happened before the meeting. Maya, I want you to understand something about Arab culture. We believe very strongly in signs, in fate, in the idea that nothing happens by accident. When you knocked on my door last night, the wrong door, I was in the darkest place I'd been in years. I was doubting myself, doubting my work, feeling betrayed and alone." Maya listened, her heart starting to race. "Then this soaking wet delivery girl literally falls into my life. And within minutes, I'm laughing for the first time in weeks. We talk for hours, and I remember why I started this journey in the first place. You reminded me that genuine connections still exist, that kindness matters more than money." Khalil paused, choosing his words carefully. "In my culture, We would say you were sent to me by Allah, a reminder at exactly the moment I needed it most. Khalil, I didn't do anything, Maya protested. I just knocked on the wrong door and made a mess of your hallway. You did more than you know, Khalil said firmly. This morning, I went into that meeting with confidence I hadn't felt in months. I spoke from the heart about my vision, about building not just luxury properties but communities. I told them about my values, about integrity and trust. And Maya, they responded to that authenticity. He pulled out an envelope from his desk drawer. I know you're working 3 jobs to save for nursing school. I know how hard you're working toward your dream. So I want to help you the way you helped me. Maya's eyes widened as Khalil slid the envelope across the desk. What is this? Open it. With trembling hands, Maya opened the envelope. Inside was a check, but the amount made her gasp and drop it on the desk. $50,000. I can't accept this, Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. Khalil, this is insane. I can't. You can, and you will, Khalil said gently. Maya, this is not charity. This is an investment in someone I believe in. You're going to be an excellent nurse. You're going to help people, make a difference in their lives. This is me helping you get there faster. But you barely know me, Maya sobbed. We spent one evening together. I could be anyone. You could be, Khalil agreed. But you're not. I see who you are, Maya Rodriguez. I see your strength, your determination, your kind heart. In business, I've learned to read people very quickly. It's a survival skill, and I'm never wrong about the important things. Maya couldn't speak. She just stared at the check through her tears. $50,000. That was enough for nursing school with money left over. That was enough to stop working 3 jobs, to focus on her studies, to actually have a life. It was impossible. It was miraculous. There's one condition, Khalil said. Maya looked up at him. When you become a nurse, when you're successful and established, I want you to help someone else the way I'm helping you. Not necessarily with money, though if you can, that's good too. But with kindness, with belief in them, with a chance when they need it most. Promise me that. I promise, Maya whispered. Khalil, I don't know how to thank you. You already have, he said with a warm smile. Now, I have one more surprise for you. Maya couldn't imagine what else could possibly happen. Khalil pressed a button on his phone, and moments later, his assistant entered with a woman Maya didn't recognize. She was in her 50s, elegantly dressed, with kind eyes behind fashionable glasses. Maya, this is Dr. Samira Hassan. She's the director of nursing at Mercy Hospital, and she also sits on the admissions board for the University of Miami's nursing program. Dr. Hassan extended her hand with a warm smile. It's lovely to meet you, Maya. Khalil has told me about your situation and your goals. I'd like to discuss an opportunity with you. Maya shook her hand, still in shock. An opportunity? The university has a scholarship program for promising students with demonstrated financial need and strong work ethic, Dr. Hassan explained. Based on what Khalil has told me, and after looking at your academic records, which are excellent despite your demanding work schedule, I'd like to recommend you for immediate acceptance into our accelerated nursing program, which starts in January. January? Maya repeated. But that's only 2 months away. I haven't even applied yet, and the application deadline was sometimes, Dr. Hassan said with a knowing smile. The universe makes exceptions. If you're interested, I can fast-track your application. Combined with Mr. Mansour's generous support and the hospital's scholarship program, your education would be fully funded. Maya looked between Khalil and Dr. Hassan, unable to process what was happening. 24 hours ago, she'd been scrambling to make rent, exhausted from working 3 jobs with no end in sight. Now, she was being offered a full scholarship to nursing school, starting in 2 months, with enough money to live on while she studied. I don't understand, Maya said, her voice breaking. Why? Why would you do all this for me? Khalil stood and walked around the desk, sitting in the chair next to Maya. Do you know what I was doing before you knocked on my door last night? I was looking at pictures from my early days in America. There's one photograph I keep on my phone, me standing in front of the first house I helped build, wearing cheap work clothes, exhausted but smiling. I was thinking about that young man, how hopeful he was, how hard he worked. He pulled out his phone and showed Maya the photo, a younger Khalil, leaner and rougher around the edges, standing proudly in front of a modest house. That man had dreams bigger than his circumstances. He believed that hard work and integrity would be enough. And you know what? He was right, but he didn't do it alone. There were people who helped him along the way. A foreman who taught him construction skills, a night school teacher who stayed late to help him with English, a banker who took a chance on him for his first business loan. Khalil paused, his eyes glistening. When I look at you, Maya, I see that same hunger, that same determination. But more than that, I see someone who, despite her own struggles, still has kindness to spare. You could have been bitter about your situation, but you're not. You could have resented me for my wealth, but you didn't. You just saw another human being. Khalil's right, Dr. Hassan added. The medical profession needs more people like you. People who understand struggle, who have empathy born from their own experiences. You're going to be an exceptional nurse, Maya. We're not doing you a favor. You're doing us one by joining our program. Maya broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. Khalil gently placed his hand on her shoulder, a gesture of comfort and solidarity. I want to tell you something else, Khalil said softly. Something I haven't told anyone in years. When I first came to America, I was running from something. My younger sister, Amira, had gotten sick, leukemia. My family couldn't afford the treatment she needed, and I couldn't find the money fast enough. She died when she was 24, around your age. Maya looked up at him, seeing the old pain in his eyes. For years, I blamed myself. I told myself if I'd worked harder, been smarter, been faster, maybe I could have saved her. I built my business partly as penance, as if making money could somehow make up for failing her. But last night, when I was talking to you, I realized something. Amira would have loved you. You have her same spirit, that determination to help people, that refusal to let circumstances define you. He wiped his eyes, not ashamed of his tears. I can't bring my sister back, but I can honor her memory by helping someone who reminds me of everything she was and wanted to be. So you see, Maya, you're not just receiving help, you're giving me something too. A way to heal an old wound, a way to feel like maybe my sister's death wasn't completely meaningless. The three of them sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the moment settling around them. Outside the windows, Miami stretched out in the afternoon sun, full of millions of lives intersecting, stories crossing, fates intertwining in ways no one could predict. Finally, Maya spoke, her voice steady despite her tears. I'll make you proud. Both of you. I promise I'll work harder than I've ever worked. I'll be the best nurse I can be, and I'll help others the way you've helped me. I have no doubt, Khalil said with a smile. Now, Doctor, Hassan and I have some paperwork for you to look at. But first, I think we all need some coffee. And Maya, please, stop crying, or you'll make me start again. That broke the tension, and they all laughed. Over the next 2 hours, Maya learned the details of her new path forward. The nursing program would begin in January. She could quit her jobs, all of them, and focus entirely on her studies. There would be a modest stipend for living expenses, enough for her to move out of her cramped studio into a better apartment closer to the university. Dr. Hassan explained the curriculum, the clinical rotations, the opportunities that would be available to her. It was overwhelming and wonderful and terrifying all at once. As the meeting concluded, Khalil walked Maya to the elevator. There's one more thing I want to ask you, he said, and please, feel free to say no if you're not comfortable. After everything you've done, I can't imagine saying no to anything you ask, Maya replied. Next week is Thanksgiving. I usually spend it alone. My ex-wife and I divorced 5 years ago. We have no children, and most of my family is still in Jordan. I'd like to invite you and your family to have dinner with me. Not at a restaurant, but at my apartment. I'll cook. Maya was surprised. You cook? My mother taught me well, Khalil said with pride. I make an excellent lamb dish. So what do you say? Will you introduce me to your family? Maya thought about her mother, who worked so hard and asked for so little. Her brother, who was struggling with his own studies and would be inspired by this story. They'd love to meet you, she said. But I have to warn you, my mother will probably cry and try to feed you more than you've already prepared. Perfect, Khalil laughed. I'll look forward to it. That evening, Maya sat in her tiny apartment, staring at the check on her coffee table. She'd called her mother and told her everything, and as predicted, her mother had cried tears of joy and insisted they light a candle at church. Her brother had been amazed, asking her if this was really happening, or if she was pulling an elaborate prank. It was really happening. Maya thought about the random chance that had led her to knock on Khalil's door instead of the correct apartment. If she'd read the numbers correctly, if the lighting had been better, if she'd been paying more attention, she would have delivered the food, earned her $7 plus tip, and moved on to the next order. Her life would have continued on its exhausting, unchanging path. But instead, she'd made a mistake, a simple, human mistake that had transformed everything. She pulled out her phone and sent Khalil a text. Thank you doesn't feel like enough, but thank you for seeing me, for believing in me, for changing my life. His response came quickly. Thank you for reminding me why I started this journey. You changed my life too. See you Thursday for Thanksgiving. Maya smiled and looked around her small apartment, the water-stained ceiling, the cramped kitchen, the single window that looked out onto a parking lot. Soon, she'd leave this place behind. Not because she was ashamed of it, but because she was ready for what came next. She thought about becoming a nurse, about helping people the way Khalil and Dr. Hassan were helping her. She thought about the promise she'd made, to pay this forward, to help someone else when they needed it most. And she thought about Amira, Khalil's sister who she'd never met, but who had somehow brought them together across time and circumstance. A young woman who died too soon, but whose memory lived on in her brother's generosity. Maya went to her window and looked out at the Miami skyline, where lights were beginning to twinkle in the gathering darkness. Somewhere out there, Khalil was probably in his beautiful apartment with the floor-to-ceiling windows, maybe looking at that same sky. Somewhere out there, Dr. Hassan was probably working late at the hospital, helping to save lives. And somewhere out there were other people like she had been yesterday, exhausted, struggling, working multiple jobs with dreams that seemed impossibly far away. Maybe one day she'd be able to help one of them. Maybe she'd be the one opening a door they knocked on by mistake. Maybe she'd be the one who saw their potential and gave them a chance. The rain had stopped, and the evening air smelled fresh and clean. Maya opened her window, letting in the breeze, and made a promise to herself and to the memory of a young woman she'd never met. She would make this count. She would work harder than she'd ever worked. She would become the best nurse she could be, and she would never forget that sometimes the best things in life happen when we make mistakes, knock on the wrong door, and find exactly what we needed on the other side. 3 months later, Maya stood in her new uniform, proper scrubs instead of the mismatched clothes she'd worn for delivery work. She was in the middle of her first clinical rotation at Mercy Hospital, and she loved every challenging, exhausting moment of it. Khalil had become a genuine friend. They had dinner together once a month, and he'd become close with her family. Her mother treated him like an adopted son, always sending him home with containers of her homemade tamales. Her brother looked up to him as a mentor and often asked his advice about school and career plans. But the biggest surprise came one February evening when Maya was studying in the hospital library. Dr. Hassan appeared at her table with an unusual request. "Maya, I need to ask you something. There's a patient on the 4th floor, a young woman, 19 years old, immigrant from El Salvador. She was in a terrible car accident, and she's going to recover physically, but she's deeply depressed. She keeps saying she has nothing, that her life is over. She won't engage with any of our staff." "I'm so sorry to hear that," Maya said, "but I'm not sure how I can help. I'm just a student." "I think you can help more than you know," Dr. Hassan said gently. "I told her about you, about your story. She wants to meet you." Maya visited the young woman, Carmen, that evening. She found her staring out the window, tears streaming down her face. Maya pulled up a chair and began to talk. She told her story, not to brag or inspire, but simply to share. She talked about exhaustion and fear, and the night she knocked on the wrong door. "Sometimes," Maya said, holding Carmen's hand, "our lives change in ways we never expect. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best things. I'm not saying everything will be perfect for you. I'm just saying that tonight, you're not alone, and tomorrow, you won't be alone either, and we'll keep taking it one day at a time." Carmen squeezed her hand and, for the first time since her accident, smiled. As Maya left Carmen's room that night, she pulled out her phone and texted Khalil, "I just kept my promise. I helped someone the way you helped me. It feels even better than I imagined." His response made her laugh. "I knew you would. Proud of you, my friend. Same time next week for dinner? Your mother says she's making tamales again." Maya smiled and looked around the hospital hallway, the place where she now belonged, where she was building the life she'd always dreamed of. She thought about that rainy November night, about curry sauce splattered on expensive carpet, about a stranger who had seen her worth when she could barely see it herself. She thought about all the doors we knock on in life, some right, some wrong, all of them leading us exactly where we need to be. And she whispered a thank you to the universe, to fate, to whatever force had made her read those numbers wrong and knock on apartment 2841 instead of 2847, because sometimes the wrong door is exactly the right one after all. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that miracles can happen in the most unexpected ways. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible true-to-life stories that will touch your heart and remind you that kindness still exists in this world. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought of Maya and Khalil's story. We love hearing from you. Until next time, remember, every door you knock on could change your life. Sometimes, getting lost is the best way to find yourself.